Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Good evening, everyone. The hit PBS series Finding Your Roots is now in its 8th season of uncovering family mysteries.
We opened up a whole new world for her.
Sam? Wow. It's like finding yourself.
During the pandemic, more people reached out to us asking to be in the series. I didn't expect that.
This is deep, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
People wanted to know about their family's past.
Really?
This is making me emotional.
Does it affect on you?
My God.
I'm just in awe.
They wanted these untold stories told.
Not only is it a history lesson, but it's personal. It's powerful.
We are walking family trees,
Oh my God.
and our ancestors are waiting for us to find them.
This is my own personal museum. I feel them.
A lot happened for me to be here.
One of the things we do is reveal family secrets.
You descend from a Native American woman.
What?
And you go, oh my God, that's why I'm the way I am.
Without consulting Dr. Gates, how can you find the missing parts of your background? Joining us tonight to answer your questions are Drew Null of the Maryland Genealogical Society and Robin Smith of reclaimingkin.com. Ladies, thank you both for being with us. Robin, if I can start with you, in your experience, what are your clients looking for?
Most people, it's very interesting. I find that as people age, they sort of want to know more about where they came from. So I'm very fascinated by the concept that the older one gets, the more interested they are in their beginnings. And a lot of it lines up with retirement. And of course, genealogy is time consuming. And so they jump right in. And the stories and the journey are just like no other. They really are. So I think just trying to find more about themselves.
Drew, has this changed over the years? I mean, it used to be this kind of research. You were in a dusty back corner of the library. You were maybe looking at microfilm. Now a lot of it's online, and people have been maybe focused on this because of shows like Finding Your Roots and also through the pandemic, maybe sitting around wondering about these things.
Absolutely, Jeff. The digitization of original records and posting them online has just been a huge revolution in genealogy. And I'll date myself that I'm certainly old enough to have been sitting there at the microfilm machine in the dusty corner for a long time. But today, anybody with access to a computer and the internet can make really huge strides in their genealogy in a pretty fast amount of time, and basically without even paying anything. You tend to be able to get a little further if you do the subscription sites, but there are a number of free sites as well. So because of that, I'm sure that it's our feeling that during the pandemic, a number of folks did launch or go back to genealogical research that they may have started in the past and didn't get too far with. Like I said, you can make a lot of progress very quickly using online genealogical sites.
And Robin, a lot of the progress that you've made is represented in those pictures behind you. Tell us a couple of those stories.
Oh my goodness. So what you see behind me, I'll lean over a little bit, are my ancestors. So these are my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, going back to my third great-grandparents. And over the 25 years that I've been researching, I love historical photos. So I've gone across the country carrying my scanner, asking family members to please share with me their pictures, and they have. And so I kind of have this feeling that the ancestors are watching and they're helping me do this research. Sometimes I turn to the wall and say, come on, Auntie Pauline, where am I? Come on, Grandmama, help me out a little bit here. So I have family from Florida, Maryland, Tennessee, Alabama, and each state and each locality is a different story. And I think that that's why you find people get hooked on this and they're in it for decades. because you're always finding new information.
All right, for people who are at the beginning of that decade who don't know who their third great grandparents are, where do you start? Drew, you mentioned that you don't necessarily have to go to a paid service.
No, absolutely not. And in terms of starting, the best thing to do is, if you have the ability to, is talk to your family, talk to everybody in your family, particularly older members of your family, and really pick their brains about what they know about the family and any previous generations. That's going to be the meat of the information that you start off with when you then start looking at, say, for instance, you get online and you go to a site like familysearch.org, which is a completely free site. It's associated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but you do not have to be affiliated with them in any way to use it. And once you go to a site like that, or say, for instance, you want to use ancestry.com, but you don't want to subscribe, most local libraries will have access to the library edition of Ancestry. And with the information that you gain from your family, you can start looking at key records. And probably the easiest sort of introductory record for people to look at are census records. There's been, the every 10-year census since 1790 in the US. And from 1850 forward, there's an immense amount of information about families in census records. And they're pretty easy to use, and you can pretty quickly, if you've got the kernel of information about who you're looking for, begin finding them in census records. That's where I would definitely suggest folks
I was
start.
just going to remind our viewers that if they have a question for our genealogy experts, you can give us a call at the number on the screen or send an email to livequestions@mpt.org. We all see these tests in the drugstore. We see ads online for DNA analysis. I have no idea how that works and how that would connect me to anybody else. But Robin, do you want to take a shot at explaining that?
Oh my goodness. Let's see if I can not muck this up too badly. So the DNA tests, of course, have given us a tool like no other, because in many places, the documentary trail is going to end quite quickly. Of course, for those researching like myself, the descendants of enslaved people, the documents are going to get very shaky once you enter enslavement. So DNA has given us a tool that we can use to find our ancestors, and also those ancestors that have been separated from one another and are living in different areas of the country. So the DNA kits, there are, I think, 4 companies now. Ancestry.com does have the largest database, and it's very simple. You're either going to spit in a vial, or with the other companies, you're going to just take a cheek swab, send it in. And once they look at your sample, they're going to enter it into their database. And what you are going to see is all the other people who have taken a DNA test that match your sample. And of course, matching means you likely have an ancestor that you share in common. They use a number called CM, which is a measure of how closely you match. And that's how we determine whether you're an aunt, uncle, first cousin, grandparent, so on and so forth. So it's a really valuable tool, and one that has just exploded amongst the genealogical community. I've had great luck with it, and I'm sure most genealogists have. Anything you would add,
Robin,
to that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask a question, Robin, which a viewer wanted to know how reliable these things are. So if 23andMe or a genetic testing thing says you're related to this group of people, you have the reunions and everything, are we really sure?
So the work is left up to you to do. So that's the thing. It tells you that you're connected, but it doesn't tell you how you're connected. So the idea is that you contact that person and that you start to correspond with them, and you share trees, and you start to try to identify your shared ancestor. So it's not going to tell you the relationship. That work is going to be upon you to do with DNA as a tool. They're very, very reliable. They can about 100% within the second cousin realm of closeness. Now, once you start getting further away from second cousin, you're going to start missing some of those third and fourth cousins. But they are very, very reliable, and they definitely are proprietary. So each one uses a proprietary set of characteristics. So you're going to get slightly different results with 23andMe than you would get with Ancestry or another company. But they've been a rich, rich tool for us, and I would highly recommend them.
Robin, email question directed to you. What is the best advice for finding information on African American history pre-Civil War? The line disappears once we hit slavery. You talked about that a little bit. In terms of showing up in the census, didn't happen?
So all African Americans show up in the census starting in 1870. So after the Civil War. But before that, enslaved people were considered property. So actually, you have to identify the last known enslaver in order to trace your roots further back. There's lots of documentation on enslaved people because they were very valuable. So many of us have had great success doing that. I've done that on many branches of my family. So it's not at all an impossible task. But before 1870, you're going to have to identify the last known enslaver. Now, that doesn't account for free Blacks. There were 500,000 free Blacks in this country. So if you were a free Black, you would appear on the census record before 1870.
Phone call from Frederick County. This is Peter. Peter, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to find out how to coordinate what actually was happening in history with the name of my ancestor. You know, what that person, what my ancestor was actually going through in Spain or in France or in Italy or here in America. You know, how to coordinate that. A lot of the sites don't do that. You get the name, but you don't get what was the person actually experiencing at that time.
Interesting. Peter, thanks. Drew, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right that the different genealogical sites online do it in a very rough way. Like Ancestry, for instance, does have a timeline where it will, with very broad strokes, tell you what's happening at about that time. Say someone's born in 1776, it would say something about what was happening with the American Revolution. But I think to really drill down to what you're talking about, the key is to look at histories of the very local community where the person was living. In addition to getting maybe a broad sense of the history of the country they're in, look to those county histories in the US, for instance, or something comparable in other countries to get a real sense of what was happening at any given time in the very distinct local place that they were living. I think that would give you the richest sense of what they were experiencing.
Phone call from Baltimore City. This is Daniel. Daniel, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi there. My great-grandfather had 12 brothers and sisters and came here from Zurich, Switzerland in 1850. And I actually found out that Schmidt, my last name, is actually very popular in Zurich, Switzerland. I actually thought that I was more German than from Switzerland. And so the one problem that I'm running into now is I have his children on record, but his children's children, for example, of the brothers and sisters, I do not have on record except for maybe a few. And with that, I was actually able to get some pictures of my great-great-grandparents. But I would like to my question is, I'd like to find out more of living relatives to see if they're still alive to where I can get some more of those pictures, without, perhaps being an invasion of privacy type that or being like flat out stalking. But I've found like 3 so far, but I'd like to find out more and perhaps find out more information from my family.
Daniel, thank you for the phone call. Ladies, either of you can jump in on this, but at some point, does everybody hit a wall in their research?
So that's a great question, Daniel. And on my website, one of my recent posts is finding living descendants. So certainly that's something that all of us want to do because descendants are going to have information that you can't ever find in any archive or computer database or a library. So we primarily use obituaries, phone books, funeral programs. I've been known to call or send a cold call and get a number on the internet and call. And I've had some great success locating living descendants that way. And of course, now with Facebook has been used to great extent, finding living descendants. Now, of course, you're going to have to convince them that you're not some crazy person, but that you really are a genealogist and you're trying to reconnect with your family. But those are the main tools that we use. And in genealogy, we do have conferences and webinars that are free online. And you can find plenty, Daniel, just by Googling finding living descendants, and you'll probably find video online that you can watch and that will tell you more about the process. But that's a great question.
Let me ask you a big picture question. When you do the math, you only have to go back 10 generations, so a couple hundred years, before you have mathematically 1,000 ancestors. And I think about who those people were, my most recent 1,000 ancestors, and I'm sure there were some great heroes. There may have been a villain or two, I don't know, some great love stories, but it gets to a point. I wonder if it's different in the African American community, where you're trying to really find out what happened in modern history to your family, your ancestors. One of the people in that clip from the Skip Gates show talked about being indebted to all of the ancestors, every last one of the ancestors, because without them, we're not here. So just give me your thoughts on how far back we really want to go and why it matters.
Did you want to take that, Drew, or is that for me, Jeff?
Either. Drew, your thoughts?
I think that eventually, particularly for folks like myself who are not necessarily descended from the wealthiest of folks in the past or from royalty, as far as I know, the further back you go, the less written records there are about people, and the harder it becomes to trace that line as far back as you're saying, where you're back to thousands and thousands of ancestors. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people to do that a lot of the time. So you go back as far as you can. Like you started to say before, Jeff, there's always the proverbial brick walls that people run into. But you try to flesh it out as far back as you can on as many lines as you can, given the relative paucity of written records about certain folks farther back. Now, obviously, Robin, the African American community in America has an even harder time doing that because of the reasons you talked about earlier.
Let's get to another phone call. Baltimore City, this is Maurice. Maurice, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hello, how you doing?
We're well. What's your question, sir?
Yeah, I went to my mother's home in North Carolina. Yeah, hello?
Yes, sir, you're on. What's the question?
I went to North Carolina to my mother's home, and I found people down there. Hello?
Yeah, the echo is getting to you, but let me ask our guests about what you find when you go to other states. How do Maryland resources compare to, say, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm. So every state and every locality is going to be different because, of course, all records don't survive. We had something called the Civil War. A lot of those records some of those records were destroyed, and there were a lot of courthouse fires. Courthouses used to be made out of wood. So there are many localities where those records burn down. So it's very particular, as Drew mentioned, to time and place and local place. But the stories are fascinating. Jeff, you mentioned this with your other question, sort of why do we do this? And, once you get into so many numbers, it's really the stories and what you learn about yourself, what you learn that is in your ancestry that you didn't think about, rich, poor, ministers, I've got military, people who served in Civil War and World War I, and you've got domestics, you've got people who migrated from the Deep South to the North. And I think it's really connects you to all the history that you learned growing up in school. You know, I sort of
and
wish
Robin, I was going to jump in because I'm short on time, but you found you're related to a great American who has a statue at the city dock in Annapolis.
Yes, my Holt family, which is one of my maternal surnames, the Haleys are intermarried with the Holts. So the Haleys have been coming to the family reunions for decades. And it's been a wonderful and rich relationship. So I'm really proud about that.
Robin, people can find you at reclaimingkin.com.
Yes. And I've got lots of lessons there about how to do your genealogy research.
Very good. And of course, Drew Null at the Maryland Genealogical Society. Our thanks to both of you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jeff.
Now, on this Martin Luther King holiday, we caught up with Delegate Darryl Barnes, the head of the Legislative Black Caucus. Delegate Barnes, thank you for joining us. Let's start with a few thoughts about the Martin Luther King holiday, which, you know, for some people has become a day off. But I think the original proponents of the day envisioned a day on, a day of service. How do you see the holiday evolving?
I think you just said it best. It is a day of service. It is not a day off. Clearly, the day was established to honor the legacy and life of Dr. Martin Luther King. And the day is a day in which we try to emulate the good works that he has done over the years. Meaning it is an opportunity for us to get back to our community. It's a day that we go out and we teach about the goodness of doing things the right way. And I think those are the things that Dr. Martin Luther King stood for. And those are the things that we are doing within our community. It's something that I advocate wholeheartedly with the members of the Legislative Black Caucus, that we take this day to really give back and make an impact within our communities.
A little bit tougher to do that, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, another wave of the pandemic. We had a snowstorm. How have things changed this year?
Well, I think there are definitely some challenges, but I think with challenges come new ways of doing things. I think, you know, now just like we're having this interview virtually versus in person. So I think the same thing applies in which we can touch more people actually by this virtual reality that we live in, and really trying to set up different things in which we can touch people and educate them, motivate them, and uplift them. And all of those things are part of the day of service.
Let me turn to the Black Caucus's agenda in the legislative session. We're in the last year of a 4-year term, which isn't always the most productive session. But what's on the agenda that you're hopeful of getting done this year?
You know, when you speak about Dr. King, I think part of the agenda for this year is what we had tagged last year, which was the Speaker of the House creating a Black agenda. And part of that Black agenda is looking at equity and inclusion throughout the state of Maryland. And part of that agenda is looking at should we legalize marijuana in the state of Maryland? And if so, is the equity and inclusion piece attached to it and the social ill wills that had gotten so many people incarcerated being addressed. You start looking at the environment and where we are in this climate change here in the state of Maryland and frankly across the country. Are we addressing those things that really protect and make sure that our residents here in the state of Maryland are being protected by the environment? So I think there are a host of things that we are looking at that speaks to this session.
Any particular piece of legislation that you'd want to call attention to?
Well, I think all of it is equally important. You know, I think the governor has put forth a crime bill that we need to look at. He has also put forth the largest tax credit in Maryland history that I know we have to address. So I think there will be a lot of things that will garner our attention, and I'm looking forward to it.
Our political program, State Circle, is turning 40 years old, and we did a retrospective on the last 40 years of that program and the General Assembly. And one of the things that jumps out at you is that decades ago, just 3 or 4 decades ago, the Maryland legislature was 90% white. It's become a lot more diverse, a lot more reflective of the state population. Legislative redistricting is on the agenda, which means drawing new lines, new districts for electing state senators, delegates. When you look at specifically the map that's come out of the legislature's commission, what do you see there? Do you anticipate making some gains?
Well, I think the democratic process is fair. Let me say that, in which we've had both sides, Democrat and Republican, voice their opinions and or concerns. I do look at the map in which it's an opportunity to kind of redraw the lines in which it, in my opinion, makes it fair for those that want to participate in this democracy. I am looking for the Democratic Party to be able to gain a few more seats. I think simply how the lines are drawn, which gives us that opportunity. And at the end of the day, you know, as the chairman of the Black Caucus, I'm looking at how do we increase our members.
Delegate Darryl Barnes, chairman of the Legislative Black Caucus. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And that is Direct Connection for this week. Join us Friday for State Circle, the latest on the legislative session and Maryland politics. Tune in Friday evenings at 7 for that. Remember to follow us on Twitter at MPT News, and you can get updates on all of our programs and upcoming guests at the main MPT website, mpt.org. Now, for all of us at MPT, thanks for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.